You ever notice how life's craziest stories always start out with something that should have been simple? Like you wake up, the world's quiet, and you think, hey, today's just going to be another day. Well, let me tell you about the morning I found myself at war with a snowstorm. My HOA and one woman who somehow managed to turn powdery white snow into a battleground. And it all kicked off before I even finished my first cup of coffee. That February Buffalo was getting hammered by one of those blizzards where you look outside and the world's just gone, like someone erased everything and replaced it with a blank page. The snow started at 3 a.m., and by the time my alarm went off at 5, I'd already made a deal with myself: get ahead of it or risk being buried for a week. So I did what every seasoned Buffalonian does. I pulled on my boots, fired up the truck plow, already mounted because I don't play games with lake effect, and I spent the next hour and a half making my property look like I'd just paved the thing. Now let me paint a picture. My place sits in a little slice of suburbia called Meadowbrook Heights, 15 miles outside downtown. All manicured lawns, rules about mailbox color, and an HOA that takes itself way too seriously. Think gated community vibes just without the gates or the luxury. And smack in the middle of it all is Karen Rutherford, our resident queen bee. President of the HOA. Age 52, divorced, drives a white Lexus, sports the kind of haircut you see on "Can I Speak to Your Manager" memes. Expensive athleisure, Starbucks in hand, always looking for something to fix. I'm Xavier Donnelly, 34, mechanical engineer, bought the house 3 years back thinking it was a good investment. Solid 3-bed backyard against the woods, 2-car garage, all the boxes checked. Except for the HOA. They say you buy a house, but sometimes you just rent your sanity from the neighborhood board. Most days I keep my head down. I follow the rules, even the dumb ones. Karen. She's got a radar for anything out of place: garbage cans out a few hours too early. Citation. Front door wreath, a shade off from the approved green warning letter. Park my work truck in my own driveway overnight. She's digging for bylaws until I point out the fine print and shut her down. But that morning I'm thinking I'm in the clear. The driveway's spotless, salted with the right blend walkway and steps immaculate. I'm actually feeling a little proud watching the blizzard whip past the kitchen window, coffee steaming in my hand. It's quiet. Too quiet. 9 a.m. Just about to hit the shower, I hear a car pull up. I look out and there she is. Karen in full neon pink parka, white snow pants, dragging a commercial-grade salt spreader out of her trunk like she's about to host the Winter Olympics on my property. I throw on jeans and a hoodie, stomp down to the door, and she's already halfway up my driveway, laying down enough salt to kill a small forest. "Karen, what are you doing?" I call. She hits me with that look, part missionary, part principal on the warpath. "Salting your driveway, Xavier. The HOA got a complaint about your property." My jaw just about hits the porch. "Karen, I was out here at 5. Plowed, salted, look, you can see the lines where I pushed all the snow." She's not having it. "Well, I didn't see any evidence at 8:30 when I drove by." Because it was still snowing, I try keeping it cool. "You're dumping way too much salt now. This'll wreck my concrete." She gets red, like color matching her parka red. "Are you telling me you know more about snow management than I do? I've lived here 30 years. You ever argue with a brick wall?" That's what it feels like. She keeps going. The HOA has a responsibility to maintain safety standards. Then she starts cranking that spreader again, marching up my drive. At this point, I'm done being polite. "Karen, what you're doing is trespassing and property damage." That's when she snaps. She's screaming, full-on, windows rattling, the neighbors are watching. "How dare you," kind of screaming. Across the street, I see Doug Palmer, Vietnam vet, opening his door, just watching the show. Martha, his wife, comes out next. I try to reason. "Karen, I'm asking you to leave. I already took care of it." "You have not!" she shrieks. I saw it with my own eyes. Then she grabs a handful of snow and throws it at my chest. This is evidence. Now I'm standing there, snow dripping off my hoodie, thinking, is this real life, Karen? You're not being rational. "You men are all the same," she screams, voice so high the snow's probably melting in fear. "Ignore the rules, call me crazy." "I never called you crazy," I say. "Just not rational. Please leave." But she's doubling down, cranking the spreader like it's a slot machine, threatening fines for hostility and failure to maintain property. So I pull out my phone and start recording. "You're trespassing. I'm recording this." Now she's in my face, spitting legal nonsense, refusing to budge. The wind is howling, snow's coming down sideways, and I realize this isn't just a neighborly dispute anymore. It's dangerous out here. Finally, she's shivering, voice losing steam. "Fine. But you haven't heard the last of this. Emergency HOA meeting." She leaves the spreader right in the middle of my driveway and peels out. I wheel the thing into my garage, survey the mess salt so thick it looks like spilled rice. Concrete damage waiting to happen. I spend the next hour sweeping up, cursing under my breath. That evening, after clearing the snow for the third time, I get the inevitable email emergency notice of violation 47 Brookside Drive. The whole board CC'd. Karen's written a novel accusing me of neglect, hostility, threatening legal action. $1,000 in fines, threats of a lien emergency meeting. It's so full of fiction I read it 3 times just to make sure I'm not hallucinating. I start writing a response, then stop arguing with Karen over email is like wrestling a pig in mud. I screenshot everything, call Doug. He and Martha saw the whole thing. You were calm. She was nuts. I'll write a statement. The next day, Tim Vasquez, another board member, calls. Karen wants an emergency meeting. She's pushing for bigger fines. You got any proof? I tell him I've got video Doug's statement GPS logs from my plow at 5 a.m. Send it all, he says. You're not the first person she's done this to. By that afternoon, I'm talking to a lawyer. Richard Morgan, HOA specialist, $1,500 retainer. Mr. Donnelly, he says you've got a solid case. But HOAs can be nasty. You want me at the meeting? You bet. Thursday night, I show up at Karen's house, Richard by my side. Her jaw drops when she sees him. You can't bring a lawyer. Actually, Richard smiles. The bylaws don't prohibit it. We walk in her dining room set up like a courtroom. Board members flanking her 2 chairs in front, supposed to intimidate, I guess. Richard and I sit. Karen launches into her spiel reading charges like she's the DA. Richard interrupts. Let's see the video. Karen objects, but Tim and Marcus, the other members, insist. I play it. Karen screaming, throwing Snow me calm, asking her to leave. Silence. Patricia, the older board member, finally says, Karen, you were screaming at him. Karen explodes. You're all ganging up on me. Richard lays out the evidence, GPS data, Doug's statement. My client demands the charges be dropped and a written apology, or we pursue legal action. The board votes 3-1 charges, dropped fines, rescinded, apology issued. Karen throws her papers, quits on the spot, storms out. Patricia goes to check on her. Tim apologizes. Richard says, that went better than most. I pay the retainer, and for a minute it feels like it's over. Except it isn't. A week later, I find my mailbox filled with rotten milk. It reeks, ruins my mail. I install a camera. 3 days later, 2 a.m. Karen's Lexus pulls up. She pours something in my box, clear shot of her face and plate. I call the cops. Mail tampering is federal. Turns out I'm not her only victim. Other neighbors have been harassed, vandalized. The feds build a case. One day, sirens fill the street. Karen's let out in cuffs, neighbors watching. She screams about persecution, but nobody's listening anymore. They search her house, find evidence of harassment, vandalism, even financial info on neighbors. Her notebook is chilling, plans to make my life hell, notations about my schedule. The prosecutor says she's looking at serious time. Turns out she's been embezzling from the HOA $12,000 over 2 years. The neighborhood's furious. New rules go in dual signatures on checks, outside audits, rotating board seats. People apologize for not speaking up sooner. Doug shakes my hand, says, you did us all a favor. Karen pleads guilty, 5 years federal prison, 3 supervised release, restitution for damage, including my concrete. At sentencing, she apologizes, but the harm's done. We move on. The new HOA is all about neighbors helping neighbors. No more petty enforcement. I join the board as treasurer, clean up the books, negotiate better rates, catch billing mistakes. People take care of their homes because they care, not because they're afraid. When real problems come up, we solve them together. Life goes back to normal. I help Doug with his driveway, attend neighborhood events, even get invited to parties. Marcus asked me to stay on the board. I do for 3 years, then step back. Meadowbrook Heights changes. People want to live here now. Karen gets out of prison, moves away. The blizzard anniversary becomes a running joke. Someone always asks if driveways are properly salted. I still live at 47 Brookside. The house is just a house, but the neighborhood is a community now. That's the real win. You know, after everything, I realized, stand up for yourself early, document everything, hire a good lawyer, and never let one person bully an entire neighborhood. Power only works when people give it away. When you take it back together, justice feels real. So tell me, where's the line between holding people accountable and abusing power? Ever had a neighbor or a boss or anyone go too far? Drop your story or thoughts below. Let's talk about what real justice looks like. Maybe your story can help someone else finally shovel their own driveway.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.